Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, for nerds by nerds, hanging out with this nerd.
Nerdarchy is Ted.
And today we're going to ask the question, do you know how easy D&D Beyond is to use?
Jump down the description below where you can sign up for Nerdarchy, the newsletter, get weekly gaming tips, as well as learn how to game with Nerdarchy.
All right, Ted, so we've been using D&D Beyond for a while, almost from when it first came out. I think it went live somewhere around August 15th. And we've been using it for different things in our games, in our content creation. We've talked to other content creators that are using it. Even the guys that and gals that made the game, they're even starting to use it now.
Absolutely. It is a great tool. Not only can you go in and make characters within a couple minutes, regardless of the levels, it's useful in many different ways. You can use the search feature, you can create homebrew content, you can search other people's homebrew content. It just offers up so much.
Now, for me, one of the turning points was when I took my son and we're getting ready to play a game, and I'm like, I didn't want to sit down with him and go through the process of making a character. Sure, it's not like overly complicated in 5e, but he doesn't play that much. And when he does play, he plays the same character and doesn't have to think about stuff. But with D&D Beyond, I was able to say, hey, sit down and build your character. Came back, there was really nothing for me to do. He figured it all out. And it was pretty easy. So that part is great. And for veterans who make characters a lot, it's like you can fly right through it. So that's really nice.
Yeah, I did a walkthrough with my son's first character, and I used D&D Beyond, and it literally just does the step-by-step, and you've got the ability to be like, oh, did you forget about this? Did you want to level up? You can take care of it all right there on the site.
Now, I will say, if you do things that are different from Raw, then it might be a little bit trickier. You might have to mess with stuff. But my understanding is they plan on tweaking that too. Like, say you have a homebrew rule where everybody starts with a feat at first level. And I know folks that do that, they're making some changes so you can customize things like that and kind of turn off the switch for Raw and not Raw.
But that's just character creation. You've talked about all the ways that you use it during the game.
Yeah, all of my games that I'm running now, I currently run from D&D Beyond. They have a whole campaign set up that you can do in there. You can use that. You can share it with your players. And also, if they don't have access to D&D Beyond, it will give them access if you turn that feature on.
Right. And that is, fabulous. If you've got one person in a group that is always the DM, you guys could go in together for one subscription and, all right, DM creates the campaign, shares the content. Now everybody has access. You don't have to keep buying, or everybody doesn't have to go buy, and it makes it economical to get access to everything.
It kind of reminds me of the digital tool set we had in 4th edition D&D. The D&D, it was like D&D Insider or something like that. And I know a lot of people really hated it. They hate the subscription model, but I loved it. I loved going in there and just being able to crank things out. D&D Beyond makes that stuff a lot easier now, and it's going to get better. All the features aren't unlocked yet. I know a big concern was, well, what happens if it goes away? Now they're in either alpha or beta for their app, which I downloaded onto my phone. And now you can literally store the content on your device. So it's not quite a PDF, but you have a reader, you have everything that you purchased. It's right there. As long as you have that device, it's not going to go away.
Right. So that makes the more secure purchase that much easier to swallow.
Well, yeah, but that aside, even we had spoken with Adam Bradford in the past, and it's well, sure, I can understand that point, but Curse is owned by Twitch, pretty big company,
which is owned by Amazon,
and
Amazon's not going anywhere.
Right. So the chances that that's going to go there, and it sounds like they're doing even better than they had projected. So there's a lot of things that they're working on, like Twitch integration. With them being owned by Twitch, that makes it a lot easier, and streaming such a big thing now. There's going to be things that you're going to be able to do on your Twitch streams that no one else is doing right now, and that's putting character information right on there. And honestly, we watch Critical Role on Alpha, and I wonder if it's going to be like that. I wonder if they're using the feature without telling anybody, testing it. I mean, I don't really know,
right?
But if it's similar to that, it's really cool.
that, and that is great. You get to see, the character picture. You get to see the character's hit points. There's somebody who's managing that. Oh, when you take damage, there's a little slash and the number drops. So I mean, if that kind of thing winds up becoming available through D&D Beyond integration on Twitch, that'd be just exciting to watch.
Yeah, they even talked about like the possibility of hover. So like if you mouse over like players in the game, like it'll bring up more information for the Twitch. I mean, I think we're a ways away from that. They keep improving
It's
things.
speculation at this point in time. So like, let me jump into like the things that I like most about Twitch. I am very into the let's create custom content. And I mentioned that you can put homebrew content up there, and you can save it for just your campaign, or you can put it out there for the wide verse to look at. So you can see what other people are creating, spells, feats, monsters, what have you. Really awesome to be able to get access to that, as well as when you go to create your own, you can put stuff up there, and you can start off with a template. Oh, I want to base this on the adult red dragon, and I'll go into the stats of that, and then I can start tweaking, and by the end, I'm saving a completely brand new monster that's not an adult red dragon anymore. And I've now homebrewed my monster, and I've made it that much easier because I started off with a base.
Yeah, I greatly enjoy that. Anytime you can take something and kind of clone it, which you get that feature in there. Like I had a low level party, and I wanted to create a unique, interesting encounter for them with a monster that didn't exist. Like I wanted a Death Knight light, but Death Knight is too powerful. So I was like, well, what can I do? Well, there is the Knight NPC in the back of the monster manual. So I just imported that, and then I started putting zombie stats on top of it. So it was really quick and really easy. So I like those kind of features. And even when I run my games, I generally just have I run from a laptop. I have a bunch of tabs open, right? And like these are the monsters that I'm going to use for the session, and I just have tabs minimized, and I pull up the tab I need as I need it.
It's great, as the session rolls on. Oh, they killed that monster X. Killed that monster X. You can just minimize those or close out those windows, and you don't need to have it open anymore.
And that's from the DM side. Now, in your game that I'm playing in, I fully went to D&D Beyond for my character sheet. I have my phone at the table, and or a tablet at the table, and I just have my character up. I can mark off when I use abilities. I can mark off when I lose hit points or gain them back. I can mark off short and long rests and that kind of stuff, and it just automatically does everything. So it's been kind of cool like that. Like I used to come to your house with a stack of books, like 20, 30 pounds of books. And now all I need to do is carry a device or use a laptop.
Right. So that in and of itself makes things that much easier. Less to travel with. When you go to look at your character sheet, you can gather. Oh, this is what I have access to. Well, what was that again? Let me quick, pop that up, and you can go right to it. Oh, here's the quick explanation on it. So rules calls become so much easier, or you don't even have to get to a rule call because you already know exactly what it does when you're using it.
Now, that's the kind of stuff we kind of anticipated and expected going in. But there were some other things that we weren't expecting that we were going to use D&D Beyond for.
And for me, that's the search feature. There is so much that is just so heavily encoded with tags and searchable abilities. And it's like, oh, I want to go right to a Challenge 7 monster. Okay, well, let's pull up all of them. Oh, what good monsters exist within the monster manual? I want to put something that's a role-playing encounter that might go south because it looks like a monster. So you can go in any of those directions, and I think that makes it just that much easier for DM prep or session prep.
Now, I was thinking more specifically, though, for us as content creators.
Okay.
Like, for instance, it put to bed an old argument that you had for a while. We would see this ability, resistance against, slashing, piercing, bludgeoning weapons that are non-magical. And like, this is worthless. When you get higher up, everything's going to just wreck you. It's not even going to make a difference. And I was like, well, so I decided to challenge that and go, is that true? And I didn't have to sort through all the books. I just went to D&D Beyond, pulled up all the different monsters, figured out which ones actually had an attack that was considered magic. And I was like, oh, there's hundreds of monsters, and there's like 33 of them that this is actually going to affect. So, this ability is actually more valid than we initially thought.
Right. And to me, that was like, oh, so this ability here winds up being incredibly useful. So good for players to be able to figure that out. But as content creators, we then can find information that much more readily available and without having to read 180 pages, 300 pages, whatever have you, just to find it.
Well, it's also like quality control for the content we're creating. Like now it's so much easier to, to fact check some of the things that before we might have just guessed that or had to like go through a bunch of books to figure something out. And now we can just like pull it up with a search. I believe Mike Merles is now using it for, for the things they're doing. Other content creators, I've heard them using it. Not so much like YouTubers or streamers, but folks that are actually making products for the game. They're like, oh, this tool makes my job so much faster, so much easier. And there's other places too where D&D Beyond is getting used that maybe we didn't think about. And that's like data. Like they're using it for data mining to see how we were actually playing the game. And I'm sure a lot of consideration from that information is going to go into products they put out in the future, if they ever do a new edition, all of those things. And it's kind of curious to see, like, we had these notions, these preconceived notions in our minds, but then you take the data and go, well, that's not true at all, or no, that's exactly how it's being played. Like, people aren't using as many feats as people thought. Like I think I just saw it from Jeremy Crawford today or the other day, where he showed the chart where it was showing, how much is getting used. And, you figure like everyone's playing a variant human. No, it's not true. It's like 9% of the characters being created. So interesting things like that. And it's just going to change the way we play the game going forward.
Well, I mean, if you have a tool that lets everyone know or lets the important people know how it's being played and a way to direct that, nothing but good in my eyes.
Yeah, and I also like the fact that like, it just provides lists of things when I just need to pick something off. I'm like, I need to know about feats, and I wish I could just find a list of all the feats somewhere.
Well, that's actually funny. As we use it over and over again, we keep hearing oh man, I wish it could do X, and somebody pipes up, oh, it can. Here's how. So like, they keep evolving, they keep changing, and we get to see that they're adding more and making it that much easier.
Now, there is one thing, I guess it's kind of a disclaimer too. We are actually D&D Beyond insiders. And if you don't know what that means, certain people were giving access to D&D Beyond. And we were actually given access just at the moment when we were trying to decide if we wanted to purchase the Legendary Bundle or not when it first came out. And Nerdarchy is a company where it was in a little bit of a tight spot at that time. Like we had a lot going on, going to Gen Con, going out to LA. We had really run up our expenses and we're like, oh, I just want to buy this thing, but I'm not sure if we should do this right now.
And then they contacted us and said, hey, we want to set you up with the legendary bundles. You'll get everything you'll get going forward. So like, it's great. And we get to see all the features, get access to everything that's there. But at the same time, we're going to talk about it and we're going to say what the good parts are, what the bad parts are. And so far, I really haven't found any bad parts.
Yeah, I'm just excited for the features that they haven't done yet. Like they want to do things like, level this monster up or decrease this monster. And I know that's things they're working at. Having spoken with Adam Bradford, he's really picky about stuff. And he's like, I hate the character sheet. I need to fix this. And like, I'm like, it looks pretty good to me, but there's still things that he wants to tweak. And he's always trying to push the envelope and make things better.
Yeah, scalable difficulty is what I'm really looking forward to. We spoke to him, to Adam Bradford, at PAX Unplugged in November, and it was like, oh, hearing about that really got my monster creation, fixing a go. So
definitely, if we had a time machine and had to go back in time and not be able to be insiders, it's definitely a purchase we would have made eventually. And if you're just coming into the hobby or you're new, it's a great way to pick everything up for a great discount. So it's a good buy. And we're pretty happy with it. I know some of you guys hate subscriptions, but I'm like, man, don't use it. There's plenty of free features on there you can use and tap into, or like Ted said, you can go in as a group and expand what your group has.
Yeah, get it, go in together for the group, and the campaign gets shared. Everybody gets access. As far as I'm concerned, it's a win-win situation.
But the question is, are you guys using D&D Beyond in your games? If so, let us know, and you can talk about it down in the comments below. While you're out, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
You can check us out over on nerdarchy.com.
So until next time,
stay nerdy.